Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Hunter. I make content about content, and today we are going to be talking about Final Cut Pro and how to set up your project inside of Final Cut Pro. Now this is take 2 of the video. The last one went way too long, so we're going to try to condense this pretty small. However, it works out because we are able to use the footage and audio recording from the last take to kind of explain all of this. Now, I did get this idea from watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Tom Buck, show how Final Cut Pro libraries and organization works. So if you want the full explanation of libraries and events and all that, go watch his video. I will link it down in the description. But today I'm just going to show you how I set up my folder structure and then also my Final Cut Pro, because I do it a little bit differently than him. How I set it up before an edit. So we're going to show you everything all the way up until the edit inside of Final Cut Pro. So let's jump right into it. So when I record a video, I have my A-roll camera, the A7 III recording right there. And then if I'm using an XLR mic, I have Logic on my MacBook screen right here, recording the audio separately. And then in a video like this, I have a screen recording going on my main monitor here. And so all of that then gets funneled into my main project folder and then imported into Final Cut Pro. So let's jump onto my screen and then I will show you how I organize everything and get my folder ready for the edit process. All right, so here on my main screen, this is my main monitor. This is what I use to edit and do most of my work. So you'll see I have a few things here. These don't matter. This is my archive drive, and then this is the drive I edit off of. Now this folder here is going to be the template I use for all of my videos and their organizational structure. So if I open that up, you can see I have Final Cut Pro files, footage, audio, images and assets, thumbnail, and exports. Now this is obviously where all the files from the project in Final Cut Pro go. This is where all my footage goes, my A-roll and B-roll, and then this is where my audio goes. This is any images, screenshots, anything like that that need to go in the video. This is where all of my thumbnail data, my Photoshop file, my RAW file, and then also my final JPEG goes. And then this last one is exports, which usually ends up with a couple final exports for the video. So what I do once I have recorded everything is I go into my edit drive, I drag that folder in, and I create a new one. Now, in terms of like Logic and my screen cap, those get automatically put into folders here. At least I try to set it up like that originally. And then for my A-roll, I have to bring the SD card from my main camera over into this file here. So now I have already set this up here because I have my Logic recording and then automatically putting it into here, and then also my screen cap. But this right here is just a copy of this video template file that I dragged over and renamed. So how to set up your edit in Final Cut Pro X. Inside of here, we have a few things. We have the Final Cut Pro X files. We have footage, A-roll and B-roll, audio, so on and so forth, all the same stuff here. So I have my A-roll, which is the original take here, which was like 30 minutes. I have my B-roll, which was in this video just a screen capture. And then I have my audio over here that has my Logic file, and then also the MP3 or the WAV that is the final export. And then this take 2 is the one that's recording right now. That's just the project file from Logic. So from here, we see that the Final Cut Pro X files is empty. So what we're going to do is we are going to open up Final Cut Pro, and then we are going to create a new project. So what we do, and then this is a video I'm working on right now, and then this right here is the intro for most of my videos. These are the Final Cut Pro libraries, which I'll show you here in a second. But when you make a new video or a new project in Final Cut, you can do it a few different ways. In Tom Buck's video, he explained that every month he makes a new Final Cut library. I do a new library for every project, and that's just how I've always done it. That's how I like to organize things. So let's show you that right now. So for this video, how to organize your Final Cut Pro project, we are going to go to New, Library, and then we are going to scroll down to my edit drive. We are going to go to the folder for this video, Final Cut Pro Files, and then I'm just going to name this How to set up your Final Cut Pro X edit. So then I'm going to hit save. That will save my library file into this here. So that right there, that purple icon, that is my Final Cut Pro library. See if I can get it to where it shows. Yep, Final Cut Pro library. So that is your main project file. And this gets a little confusing because I say project file, it's a library file, and projects are actually your timelines. And that's how Final Cut Pro names things. So from here, what I do is I'm going to come over here to modify settings. Initially, all of your media, your optimized media, your cache, everything's going to be placed inside of that library file. I like everything to be placed out of it so that once I go to archive my video folder, I can delete the cache, delete all the optimized media, the proxies, anything like that, so that it makes the file as small as possible. So I'm going to come into here really quick, media, choose, and then I'm going to go, look, we see here how to set up your Final Cut Pro X edit inside of the Final Cut Pro files. So that is actually the one that I want. So we're going to choose that. And then we're going to move the cache instead of inside the library into this same folder. And then once we have that done, then we can actually import footage. I like to do that beforehand because if you don't, then you have to come over here and consolidate things and make sure that it moves everything over. If you modify those before you do all of that, then you won't have to go and consolidate. So now that I have my library set up, this right here is going to be your main library. And these are events. Now, I don't really use the smart collections, and Tom Buck kind of showed in his video too, he just deletes that. I usually just leave it there, but for this point, I'm going to delete it so that it's a little cleaner. And I'm actually going to close out these libraries really quick just so it looks really nice and clean. It is going to have an event already in here, and it's just going to be the date that you created this. Now, in Final Cut, you have your library, which is your main folder, events, which are basically subfolders of media, and then your project. So we'll do new project is going to be your timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit new project. We are going to do how to set up Final Cut Pro edit. And then what I'm going to do is I record my videos in 1080 now, and then I upscale them to 4K. That's a whole other explanation, so we won't go over that right now. However, I'm going to do 4K and then 30 frames a second and then OK. So that is now my timeline. Now what I can do is I can go to import media, and then I want to find inside my edit drive here the how to set up your edit in Final Cut Pro. And so if you organize things correctly with A-roll, B-roll, audio, and do it nice and clean with this folder before you import everything. The cool thing is Final Cut Pro is going to automatically make smart collections or keyword collections based on those folder names, and it's going to already have everything organized for you. So for me, I leave my files in place over here. I don't want it to copy anything over, and I want the keywords from folders and Finder tags so that it brings all that in. And then if you want to create optimized media or proxy media, you click that here. I'm not going to do any of that right now. It is going to automatically make optimized media if you do any kind of transitions or effects or tracking, that kind of thing, but I don't want that to do it unless it really needs it. So if you want any of that here, you can click that. Side note, proxy media is smaller versions of your files to edit easier. Optimized in Final Cut Pro is kind of the same thing, except it is full res. They look just as nice, but they're Apple ProRes proxies is what optimized is. And they are huge files that you can record directly off of most big cinema cameras. For smaller cameras like my Sony a7 III, it doesn't make those automatically, so I can create them inside of Final Cut, and then that is what Final Cut edits the easiest with. So massive files, but they will edit a lot smoother. We're not going to worry about that now. And then I'm just going to add all these to the existing event. I usually don't create a new one. You can if you want. I don't really care about the name of that event. And then I don't worry about any audio processing when I'm importing. I usually do that in Logic before I import into Final Cut. We're going to import footage and audio. Now I'm going to do the full folder instead of doing the individual ones inside of here. And I'll show you why here in a second. And then if I had any images or assets, I would also include that. But right now we're just going to do footage and audio. I'm going to import selected, and then you see it brings everything in here into your media browser. And then inside of your event, if you look, it already has everything organized. So if I click footage here, it has everything that's under the footage. So I have my screen cap and then also my main A-roll shot. We have my audio, which is my Logic, the MP3 from Logic from my XLR mic. And then if I go to B-roll or A-roll, it is footage, but it's just, this is just the A-roll main shot from the camera. And then the B-roll I use for things like screen capture, and this is just the screen capture. And so everything's already organized for you if you follow kind of the same path that I did and organize it in the folders before you import, and then import the entire folder instead of just the clips. So now everything's...
Could you say that again? My apologies.
So I organize everything that way so that I can have it organize my event for me. And it makes things a lot easier. And then from here, you're ready to edit. You have all of your media over here. If you want to see everything, you just click on that main event, and then it has all of your stuff here, your screen cap, your audio, your A-roll. And then if you do any kind of multicam clips, synchronized clips, or compound clips, then it's going to put them over there too. And we can jump into that in another video. This is kind of the cutoff point for where I wanted to get to in this video, is mostly just how I organize the folder here. And so you can kind of copy this or modify it however you feel best fits. But I want to show you here real quick. The reason I brought the optimized media and the Final Cut Pro cache outside of the library is now, instead of them being inside of this here, this is where my optimized media. So if it were to make any proxies or ProRes files, it would go there. And then the edit cache here, this is where all of it, the cached renders go. And so that gets pretty large in this video, or in ones that have a lot of effects and B-roll and add-ons. That cache can get multiple 100 gigabytes large, or terabytes, depending on what kind of videos you're editing. So I like to have that readily available for me to delete before I archive this entire folder when I'm done with the video. So from there, I, just put in my thumbnail once I do that, either before or after the video, my Photoshop files, my RAW, my JPEG, and then on the exports, like I said, that's just where I throw the final export, then to be uploaded to YouTube. And then that's the video. That's how I organize everything all the way up into the edit. Now this, in theory, is ready for me to start cutting, and then I can just, drag my footage down here into the timeline and start cutting it and throwing effects in, so on and so forth, and I'm ready to go. So that is how I do things. Like I said, if you like the organization here, you can totally just copy over this video template folder that I made. It is super simple. The only thing that I have not put in yet is the A-roll, B-roll in the footage. It's pretty easy. You just add your own folders. So that's how I do things. It works for me. Everybody does things a little bit differently. So if you organize your Final Cut Pro or your video folders a little bit differently and you like it better, let me know down in the description. Show me a little layout of how you do things and let me know why you think it's better. If you like this method, definitely let me know down in the description as well. And if you want to see the next step in editing or more Final Cut Pro editing tips, let me know that down where. But anyway, that's going to be it for me today, guys. If you found this video at all helpful, or if you enjoyed the video in any way, shape, or form, definitely throw a like down below. It really helps out. If you didn't like the video, let me know why, but I'm going to leave it there. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next video.